Okay, this is the remediation video for question number 7A of the boot camp test. It deals with SOHCAHTOA. The first thing you need to know about SOHCAHTOA is that it's only good to use when you have right triangles. So that's the first thing you need to remember. The next thing is, what do these three things break up into? We have SO, which is going to refer to sine. Sine is the opposite leg over the hypotenuse. The CA part references the cosine, which is the adjacent leg over the hypotenuse. And then the third part is the tangent, or the TOA part, which stands for tangent, which is the opposite leg over the adjacent leg. Now when we start talking about what is opposite and what's adjacent is all determined by where the angle is that we're talking about in the triangle. So if I'm talking about this right triangle here, if I'm using the lower left angle that I'm referencing, then whatever's straight across from that angle is going to be the opposite leg. The adjacent leg will always be the leg that makes up part of the angle that we're using. The hypotenuse will always be straight across from the 90 degree angle, and then from there you can then use these functions along with those things. So when you're doing the problems on the worksheet today, for number one, number one question, it has you dealing with a triangle that has x6 and the 72 here. Here we have an adjacent leg and a hypotenuse. So let's take a little bit more look into that and see how it applies to those three functions that we just talked about. So number one, again, we have the x, the 6, and the 72. In this case here we have the 6, which is an adjacent leg, and the x, which is the hypotenuse. So the function you need to use that uses the adjacent leg and the hypotenuse is based off the SOHCAHTOA part. Here's your adjacent hypotenuse, so is your adjacent hypotenuse, so we want to use cosine. Again, the way you're going to set that up then is cosine of the angle, in this case it's 72, is equal to the two legs. Now if we say it's adjacent over hypotenuse, then you need to take the adjacent side 6 over the hypotenuse x. Okay? Then, once you have those two things, then you need to figure out how to solve this. Now, if you think of it this way, think of these sine, cosine, tangent problems as proportions. Think of that as sine of x over 1, cosine of x over 1, and tangent of x over 1. Okay? Then when you have these things figured out, then all you have to do is cross multiply to figure out the solutions. So if I'm going to take this question here for number 1, simply cross multiply, and you'll take x times the cosine of 72 and then 6 times 1. Okay? Well, 6 times 1 is 6, and then if I take x times the cosine of 72, then I can leave them side by side. The last thing you have to do then is figure out how to get x by itself, and that would be to simply divide by cosine of 72 to both sides. And then the cosine of 72's will cross out, and you're left with 6 divided by the cosine of 72, which if you put that in your calculator, you'll have then hopefully 19.42. If you're doing these problems correctly, your calculator, you need to have your calculator on the right mode. So please make sure you press the mode key at this time here. Make sure you have the word degree with a black box on it. If you do not, move your cursor down by that and press enter, and then it will stay there when you move away from it. It's very important that you have the degrees turned on for the right setting on your calculator in order for it to figure out how to do these problems. All right? Now, I would like you to pause the video, and I'd like to have you try and do number 3. Number 3, it has another right triangle, and it has the x and the 12 and the 24. You try and do that on your own, and then we'll continue on from there. Okay, now that we're back, hopefully you've had a chance now to look at how to solve number 3. Well, first of all, you have a right triangle, and you have the adjacent leg, and you have the opposite leg. The function that deals with opposite and adjacent, you'll notice, is tangent. So you want to set it up as tangent of the angle, 24, equals the opposite leg x over the adjacent leg 12. Now again, if you treat this like a proportion, you're going to cross multiply, and simply on this one, x times 1 is just x, and all you have to do now on your calculator is just basically figure out how to do 12 times the tangent of 24. Type that in your calculator, and hopefully you were successful in getting 5.34 units, and that is the length of the short leg. Good luck, and hopefully you're successful in the rest of the worksheet.